Today's episode is about something a lot of people think about, but very few actually do, taking an idea and turning it into something real. Joining us today is Omar, the co-founder of Blunt, a platform designed to measure public opinion across the internet. In this conversation, we're going to talk about Omar's journey as a student entrepreneur, the technology behind Blunt, how you can leverage AI to test ideas, and what students and aspiring innovators can learn if they want to start building things themselves. Omar, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's a very, very nice setup we have here.
Yeah, we're in this dark room. It's very different. Markham campus, shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out. It's very nice.
But yeah, let's get started. I just want you to tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So I'm Omar. My name is Omar Saleh. I'm from Egypt. I lived most of my life, like from 11th grade until high school, until senior year in Dubai, in the UAE. And then I came here for uni, Canada, like Toronto. And yeah, and I came for university, and I guess we'll see what happens next.
Great.
But, yeah.
So one thing I always hear, and like personally myself, like when you want to start a business, it seems like something that's very daunting. Like in my mind, like that's what it seems. And I think a lot of people maybe feel this way with uncertainty and obstacles that may come along the way.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel like for you scaling your own venture like you have done?
Honestly, it's exciting. The biggest issue that I think people realize right away is how ambiguous the journey is, because there's no rubric to how to start.
Yeah.
No one really knows what they're doing. You kind of just have like a goal that you want to reach, and you're just gonna hack around and figure out like, you know, what to do today, what to do tomorrow, what can I get set up, you know, for this to work and that to work, and then it just ends up being something. So yeah, that's probably that. So far, it's just ambiguous, you know, like that's all I could say about it. But,
No path.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you want to lead, you have to be able to take that path that's not always certain. You have to be able to pave your own way.
Yeah.
So did you always have that entrepreneurial instinct, or is it something you developed over time? Like,
I would say I always had it, but I never really knew until we got to the process of actually, building something. My dad's an entrepreneur, very successful entrepreneur in the Middle East. And me and my brother, and he's always been entrepreneurial, even before he started his venture. My brother and I, we would help him, set up his videos. He would, write books. He was kind of like a lecturer. We would help him with his editing. We would help him with the building process. And at the dinner table, we would just sit and talk about business, and we talk about companies and entrepreneurship. And we were so young that it wasn't really. We thought it was not normal, but it was just kind of whatever. But then I think when we realized this is something that's actually within us, when we got closer to, or when we joined uni, honestly, it was kind of apparent that it's I want to build something, you know, that's what I want to dedicate my life doing. And I wouldn't say it came before, the idea came of Blunt, which we'll get into, but I knew I always wanted to just create. I draw when I'm bored, I make music, I like to make videos, I would make videos from time to time. So I just like to do stuff, I like to make things, and I think this is just the professional, way of creating, so yeah.
Yeah, it seems like you developed some great habits,
yeah.
And you were able to develop that mindset going forward. But that's great. I would like to ask, what was the moment you realized this is the idea I want to go to? What was that aha moment? This is my...
Yeah, so I can take you back to how it kind of started. So my brother and I were in a common room studying, just doing work. And, when me and my brother, it was kind of late night, whatever. There's I think The Social Network was playing on the TV, because I like to have something playing as I work. And me and my brother are just talking, doing anything but, our assignments. And I get into this concept with him. I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if everything just had a number, and that number represented, what everyone would think about it, regardless of, what it is or who they are, or what it represents. It's just a number. Everything you look around, everything has a number. And then he's like, that's kind of weird. Something about my brother is he always rejects like the idea, so it forces me to challenge it, and then a new idea can come out of it. And like it's a very, very good trait, but he's very stubborn. And honestly, if it wasn't for his stubbornness, maybe we wouldn't have, you know, got to this position. But I would say like that night was the day we had a conversation about it, and we're like, that's cool. Like I feel like that's something we can explore. But it was very apparent when we came back to Dubai, and we're talking to like the family about this just random thought, as if it's just like a, you know, thought exercise, wasn't anything. And then, you know, my dad's just like, why don't you like build something out of it? I feel like this is possible. So we look at each other, we're like, why don't we? And then that was 3 years ago, and like here we are now, basically. And then, you know, it was like something a little simpler at first, and then it evolved into something else. And like it's that ambiguous journey that I was talking about. It's like back and forth between me and him, and yeah.
If I had a sibling, I think I would love to start a business with them. I think that's like it would be one of my dreams, because like you're able to work with them every day. And how's it been like? Has he been around? Like,
yeah, I got lucky with him because, you know, we're siblings, so like it's natural chemistry. It's like naturally like, if he thinks I'm doing something terrible, like he'll tell me. If I think he's doing something wrong, I'll tell him. We, you know, have this natural bond. Obviously, can't break. So that the filtering and the miscommunication and all that just goes out the window, and it's just pure like, this is what I think you should do, and he tells me this is what I think you should do. So yeah, like he was very, very helpful in the development of the company. And yeah, like I don't see myself being able to do this with someone else, honestly. So yeah, so it's very cool. I got very lucky to have like my brother as the person to work with me on this.
Great. Would you say you're the more technical one, or like, because like usually when there's like co-founders to build something, there's one that's maybe like really good at selling it, and then another one that's very technical. How would you describe like yourself or your brother?
I would say he's definitely the more technical one. He's always had kind of like an eye for detail, and he's always been technical. And ever since it was like 2023 when we started, we instantly just started learning, okay, how do we develop software? I mean, he was in CS, but we've never like built a project before. So he instantly got the, you know, intuition for the technicals, and he was able to own the product very early on. So naturally, we got to this position where, although we both can work on like each domain, he became the very technical one, and I'm just the other co-founder. You know? Yeah.
So he specialized in IT and computer science.
Yeah.
And you studied economics, right?
Yeah.
So how did that affect your like mentality or understanding when you're making the decision to start the business?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think economics can be very applicable for a lot of things. You know, like we were speaking before, it's a very broad, like type of program you can go in. So you can apply it to anything. Economics, I'll say, has helped me the most in the data science of it. So I'll say that's probably like most of the work that I'm doing on Blunt when it comes to like the technicals, while my brother is like developing the software. But just the knack for data, or the fascination of it, started in economics. But I'll say I always had something, you know, like there, and economics kind of unlocked it. And then obviously when it came to this startup, data is a very big part of it, and we're dealing with like numbers. And I'll say if it wasn't for economics, it probably would be a little more difficult, a little awkward, the process. But yeah, it definitely made it easier. And yeah, and you know, like I'm not sure if we even stated, but Blunt is a startup like that we're working on. The product is we're trying to show the world what everyone thinks of a certain item, or a certain person, or a certain concept, or a certain, you know, movie, and we show that in a number. That's what we call the Blunt score. And you can't kind of like, to crack the question, or to solve the question of like, how can we signify what the entire world thinks about one little thing? You need to be, you know, kind of obsessed with, you know, data and and figuring out solutions there. So yeah, I'll say like maybe there are, like I still have so much more to learn, and like I'm still a beginner and everything, but it's a very very deep interest of mine, I'll say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm an economics student as well,
Yeah.
a graduate. I feel like it's taught me how to think about how consumers think and the psychology behind our actions. That's something I've learned throughout my undergraduate studies, and I think you've applied that really well with your business, and it's given me a lot to think about. So, one question for our viewers: do you think that higher education is necessary to start a business, or like I know a lot of people that haven't even gone to college education right out of high school. After a couple of years of working, they're able to start a business, things along those lines. So, how would you say, like, furthermore, like?
Yeah, it's definitely not needed. It's not needed. But the question, I feel like it's higher education, I'll say, it should never be about the actual, contents of the education. It's the experience, and it's like finding yourself within it. So I say if I went straight from high school and then just started working, there's no way I would be like where I am now. And there's no way I'd be pursuing this. I think university teaches you to be independent. The same things from school is like you have to study, you have to apply yourself, do well, whatever. But it's very, very dramatically different in terms of independence and finding yourself, and just figuring out like what do you want to do in life. I think university is very, very helpful for that. It doesn't mean that people need it to start companies. Obviously, a lot of people either dropped out or just never started. But I think it's like implicitly helps. Like it's more for you. It's to find out who you are, like who do you want to surround yourself with, and like what do you want to do in life. I don't know, I think it's kind of hard to get these answers from high school, but some people are mature enough and like kind of mentally more grown up to be able to do that. I feel like university was important for me.
Nice. I think that's great points you made there about higher education. I think that for myself, it's helped me change as an individual, how I think. And hopefully I'll be able to start a business as well down the line. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
But I'd like to pivot a little bit into how it was when you first started. Like, was there any like major challenge, and like how's that developed so far?
Yeah, I'll say the biggest issue in the beginning, it's usually nothing technical because you can always figure that out. And as technology advances and these tools get easier to use and smarter, that's usually never the bottleneck. I'll say time management and like priorities, setting priorities. That's probably the most difficult thing you can do because there's no rules to it. You kind of just have to figure it out. And especially when you're working with someone else, you have to know like what time is right for what. You can't just do things and like assume something's gonna come out of it. Especially when it's two people doing things and not communicating and like are very random with how they like do how they operate. It's not gonna output anything. So in the beginning, I'll say it was very messy. My brother and I didn't really know what we were doing, and we didn't really communicate that well, although we thought we did. But yeah, and we would spend our times doing something that just probably shouldn't be done, or we would barely, put enough effort into something that should be done. So all these things they're more clear in hindsight, but like it's definitely the most difficult thing, like the actual human side of like running a company, I'll say. Like it's very difficult, yeah.
Yeah, you've been able to, you mentioned that it's very ambiguous. The path is not set. So how do you say your day-to-day is like now? Like,
my day-to-day is, well, yeah, now I'll say it's as clear as ever, but a year from now, I'll probably look back at now and be like, I don't know what I was talking about. Like, now I have it figured out, and that's just going to constantly evolve. But I'll say my day-to-day is not anything special. It doesn't really, like, obviously, while in university, you have to prioritize your work. Like, there's the work within the startup, but then there's the startup itself, and then there's university. The way I managed that was I barely did university. Like, I just wouldn't go to lectures, and I would, right before exams, I would study for them. and just do the bare minimum so I can continue. So I'll say I definitely had to shift a lot of the weight into the company. That's not something I regret at all. I honestly don't think we would have been like as quick with the iterations and the development if we didn't do that. But but on a day-to-day, like, just wake up like very early, have as much time in the day as possible, and just work, coffee and work. It's coffee and work, coffee and like dark chocolate and work, and that's it.
Well, it sounds like you had a really gritty mentality when it comes to doing this, because I know when you have to balance school and a business, it feels like it can be really hectic. You can have a lot of pressure with deadlines and things like that. So, yeah, like, is that like you were able to block out different times? Like, personally for me, I would use Google Calendar, things like this. And there's so many distractions nowadays, like social media, all these other activities. So what kind of mindset did you develop also from your family? What kind of mindset did you have to shift to think, okay, this is what I want to go after and actually build towards that?
It's a good question. I'll say the mindset, I feel like, is not something that you can capture. It has to grow. Like, you have to first test out like the draft mindset, and then iterate and iterate and iterate until it gets to the point where, okay, yeah, this is what's most productive for me. Because people sleep for like 6 hours a day and function fine. People sleep for 9 hours a day and function fine, and they can't do each of the different things. And they'll both argue that their process is the way to do it, and that's the mindset you should be in. And they're both right, because it's just different for everyone. So I don't think there was like a specific mindset I could copy, from my family or anyone, because we're all just different people. So I will say, like, something that's very clear. I love working alone. So I love working alone, but I also don't like working at home. I like to work in libraries and cafes, because I found that, something like, I like when there's a video playing while I'm working, or just people talking. I like a lot of sounds for some reason. I don't know why. But my brother, he doesn't like that. He likes to be in his room, like close the lights. He's in like his robe, his like red light glasses, and he just works. So people just have different ways of working. One of my friends can only work from like a specific part of their home, and they can't work outside, and they need to have their monitor. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. You kind of just have to find that for yourself. But you can't find that if you're not open to just trying new things. Like, try to stay up in like for one day and see from which time period to which like you're most productive. Or try like a different diet, or try, a different setting. I think you should just try these things, and it'll come naturally.
For sure. Yeah, we're all different people. I think we have to find that answer out for ourselves and try different things, like you said. I really appreciate that answer. Let's move on to your company, Blunt.
Yeah.
Let's see. I need to ask, first of all, are we going to find out today that Blunt is secretly figuring out what's going to happen in the future? Is there
predicting the future? Yeah, I don't think we're gonna find that out today. but yeah, I understand the angle. I understand the angle. No, the Blunt is we're trying to capture the global sentiment, and like every day we're trying to make it as accurate as possible to have this global hub of opinions and ratings. And like, you go to IMDb for movies, for ratings on movies, and Google reviews for restaurants, and Yelp, and TripAdvisor for hotels. This is just the hub for ratings and reviews from everywhere, and we capture the like those sources. We capture TripAdvisor data, like all the stuff that's public. We capture all the relevant information that can give you a score. So that's our goal. That's our main goal, and that's just what we work towards every day. So yeah, but people can look at Blunt and have a certain use case for it. Someone can use it because they're walking down the street, they see like a model of a car, they want to just look more into it. Maybe they don't even know the name of the car, so they take a picture of it and they see, oh, okay, this is the model, this is a little description about it, this is what people are saying, and then it takes you to external links to go, view the car in some dealership. And someone can use it like that, but then another person could just do it for market research. They can look into companies, they can look into you know, like regions. They can look into locations. There's just so many ways you can use it. So yeah, it depends. Like, if you can try and use it to predict the future, you can try.
Man, that's incredible. So from my research, it uses 4 different AI models from what I've seen, and it gathers information. It gives like a overall overview, a summary, and it gives analysis within that. Could you expand?
Yeah, so like very simply, we take the most recent news on a topic. So if the topic is, you know, Casio, it's everything that's been said about Casio. That's articles, you know, social media comments, social media posts, just like blogs, anything that's been said about Casio. And we take the text and we analyze the text. Is the text negative? Is it positive? Is someone saying, oh, I love Casio, they're so reliable, you know, reliable and love, that adds a little to the score. But then some other person could be like, oh, it's made cheap, it's whatever. And then these little keywords affect the value. So we are moving kind of beyond numbers, and we're taking the text and then quantifying the sentiment of the text. So it's really anything anyone says, like, that's relevant to the topic and is like within like within the span of, you know, now, like given that it's real time, can be captured. And the AI models, like, that's we use them for their natural language processing, so they can like look at the language and determine, you know, is this positive or negative. But yeah, that's basically how it is for now. Yeah.
I see. Well, does it have everything on it? Because I think I've seen like it has almost everything, but sometimes I search certain things and it doesn't show up. So how is the process of you adding things? Do you do it manually? Is there like a method that you have?
So everything shows up, and you know, if something like if you tried to search something and it didn't show up, that was probably, you know, an issue that like we're working on. This is like this is the biggest thing that Blunt is about. It's that everything has a score, no matter what, no matter, you know, how ambiguous, no matter how sensitive, no matter how political, everything, because it does, and it's not something we're creating. The score isn't, you know, out of thin air. It's not because we think, you know, Blunt thinks it's what the people are saying. It's what's already out there, and it's what's already in your mind. Because when you're, you know, sitting in a conversation, you're looking at a person, he's talking about some topic, and there's that, you know, cup of tea on the table. Every little thing that's happening around you, there is sentiment attached to that. There is what you think about it, and there's what the world thinks about it. So it's not like it's very important for us to be able to capture, or like the story that we're trying to kind of tell is that everything is up for grabs. Everything can be scored and evaluated in some way.
Wow, that is pretty intense.
Yeah.
Man, if I think about every single thing in my life and how it has a score, that gives me a lot to think about.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, the thing is, it already has a score. That's kind of the thing we're trying to show. It's like it already has some value to it, but it's in everyone's, you know, minds, and it's kind of in their like subconscious. Like no one consciously thinks about, you know, if the entire world were to score this thing, what number would we give it? No one thinks that right away. So we're exposing that. Like it may seem like it's aggressive and it's a little too much, but you already do it every day, and that is what influences your purchasing decisions and where you go out and who you meet and who you talk to and who you don't like, and you know, so it's something that's already existing. We're just putting it in your face, basically.
Yeah, it's very out there. So like,
Yeah.
given the name, right?
Yeah, Blunt. Yeah.
So will it have a proactive component? Like it can predict, okay, maybe this topic is going to go up in value later on. Will it have that type of component with the AI built in, or?
Yeah, that is something that's definitely going to happen down the line, and we kind of already do it. We're just maybe not showing it that well. But if you're able to, you know, map out the sentiment of some topic for the last 5 years, and you're seeing where in time periods that it dips, and then you can cross-reference with what the news is saying at that, you know, point, what was happening in the world around the specific region where it's relevant, what are people saying, and then you could just, wait until that happens again. And there's some nuance to it, but you can in some way predict how sentiment is going to be. But first, we want to like convince people of the idea. Like first, when you look at something and you see a number and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Like it makes sense because blah, 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 this happened and this connects to that. So it makes sense that it would be around, a 58, or it makes sense it would be around a 16 or a 70 or whatever. So that's really our mission for now. But the way we're going to expand with Blunt is like, it's kind of limitless what we can do. But I'll say, right now is our mission is to show everyone and kind of convince everyone that this really is a thing. And everyone kind of is convinced, they just have to see it. And that's what we're doing.
I love the confidence.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what you have to have. But would you say it's tailored for, I think you spoke about this earlier, you said it could help consumer decisions, it can help all these different things. Who do you think it's most tailored for? How is it going to help someone like me? You mentioned this a little bit before with like searching things up, but could you expand more upon that? Businesses, creators, like how is that going to help?
Yeah, so, let's say creators, for example. Say a creator wants to look into the industry they're going to create in. So say they're like a food blogger. They need some valid, credible source to determine which food spots she can go to and like create the videos she wants to make. Or say if someone does the same thing with cars, or someone does the same thing with like flower shops. The information that's out right now is scattered between different rating platforms. So for someone that goes for cars, there are some platforms out there that are just specifically for cars and what the sentiment on cars is. And there are some things for restaurants, like, Yelp and stuff. So what we're offering is information from everywhere without the bias of someone that has Yelp will do a review within Yelp to then give you the score. When someone, 3 weeks ago just posted an Instagram, post about this specific restaurant and put a caption saying this is the best restaurant I've ever, went in. Like these other platforms are not going to capture that. That's where Blunt comes in. That's where using it gives you an in-depth, market research in anything you're interested in. So for a creator, it could be something like that. But for someone that's into, like companies, they can look into companies. Someone that's into artworks, they can look at all the artworks and what people have been saying about it over the years and how the sentiment has been changing. And yeah, there's a lot of use cases, and it kind of depends on, the type of person you are, but what you would think it's useful for. Yeah.
Makes sense. So from our research, would you classify it as a social listening tool like Hootsuite and Brandwatch, or is it like a little bit different? Like what's the differentiation that you have from your competitors, and who would you say your competitors are in general?
Yeah. Okay. So the first part of it, we can call it like a social listening. We can call it, a temperature, whatever. Like, it can fit in a lot of things. It can also be considered a social network because the people that share your interests on certain things you can connect with. So, because it's a relatively new idea, the idea of everything, the scale of everything, having a score, that's where it kind of overlaps between different. So, like Brandwatch, for example, or these other social listening tools. Blunt captures some of the market there, but it also does with Amazon reviews and Goodreads and Reddit and even X, these platforms where there is sentiment being pushed to people, and you can measure it by how much engagement there is, but it's not directly showing you what people like and what people don't like. And, bringing on to social media, I would say these social media platforms aren't exact competitors, but they've created a problem that you can say we're trying to undo. Social media is based on echo chambers. And because it's so driven by attention now, you may see a perspective or a point of view about something you really like that someone else just completely doesn't agree with. And you will never see his point of view because you are given what you like. And that's what social media is good for that. It's good for entertainment and it's good for, personalization. But it creates this distortion where you might think the world, thought something of this one micro influencer when in reality, no one knows them. Or in reality, more people don't like them. You can't find that out on social media. You can find that out on Blunt. You can plug that, scenario into anything, and you can find it on Blunt. So it's exciting, and I'm very, very happy to be talking about it.
I'm glad you are. As a startup, I think it's a lot different than normal traditional businesses. With you have to really have a really strong idea. You have to really believe in your product or your service, like I see you have, and you have to have a solid team, execution, things like this. And it seems like you're in this process, and I think you're doing a great job so far.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So, how do you say that like AI has helped you with it, like building this project in general? And yeah.
Yeah, I'd say AI has helped a lot. I think AI is the perfect, and the AI tools and like the new technology we're dealing with now, they help accelerate what could have taken 5 years to take like 3 months. And it's such a good enabler. It enables you to really do what you want to do, and it just lowers the barrier. So if you're sitting there like you have no technical abilities, you've never worked on a project, but you see a future. You see a future with something that you're adding that doesn't already exist. Now the value of AI is like you just can't put a price on it. Like now you can actually do it. There's probably nothing that you can't do or work towards or have some realistic roadmap that before you wouldn't be able to do. Before AI, there's just so many like different regulations and so many different barriers you have to overcome, and like you have to study this specific thing for this many years to be even taken seriously by this VC, or you have to be programming since you were 9 so you can create like a very good feature in another like already existing product when you're 18. That's just not the case anymore, and it's completely accelerating the evolution of more technologies to exist, more ideas, and yeah, it's very, very exciting. It's like AI has been a crucial, help, and I think without AI, obviously, like for the last 4 years, the last 3 years, we wouldn't see half the stuff, and we wouldn't use half the stuff that we're using now if it wasn't for AI. So it's very important.
Yeah, it feels like startups are happening like every day now because of this. Everyone's launching one. So yeah, it seems like it's something really beneficial. And I like to see, there's so many different tools, a vast variety of tools now. Could you speak on which tools you leveraged, which like were most beneficial, and which ones like students or young professionals can use like these days to develop their ideas?
In the very beginning, we started this like early, like 2023. And this was in the very, very beginning of, like ChatGPT launched in 22. And these products existed, but they were just bad. Like they were very bad compared to what it is now. So what I really, really liked was Gemini. I would use Gemini a lot. I would use, the actual like LLM interface. And I would, I would use it for generating code, for bouncing ideas off, for building plans. But it's funny how looking back at it now, like with the tools that we have now compared to then, that was so like now what takes me, 30 minutes or just one very quick session could have taken an entire day before. And I thought that entire day was like, oh, I'm much more productive than I used to be. And I was. So it's cool how it's actually like growing exponentially. It's very interesting. And yeah, now I use like the generic tools. I mean, I honestly only use Cloud Code if you're talking about like AI tools specifically, and I don't really use any other like note-taking apps or anything. It's just Cloud Code and like the Google platform. That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some trending tools right now.
Mhm.
So when you were building the app for Blunt, did you was your brother the one that was really like using Python and these types of things to build it, or did you leverage AI in that way to help build?
Yeah, we leverage AI. We both. So my brother, obviously, he knew how to code and he knew like where to start from. I had never like before AI. I had never worked with software before, so that has been like an immense help for me. What this did for my brother was he was now just able to be 10 times more productive than he would have already been. So it definitely helped us both a lot. And I really do believe anyone that is just interested enough can figure out these tools and learn whatever they need to learn just to get it done. I mean, it's all like a means to an end. The product itself and the little like software tools and the things that you do are all just a means to an end to your grand goal. So like you find out what you need to do, you learn it, you spend like days like just head down working on it, and you'll come up with what you need to come up with. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I think it's been a big help as well for me in my work as well.
How do you use it? What do you use?
Right now, I've been using it to for SEO purposes for the website. I've been using it there. I've been using it to proofread my writing for emails sometimes. I think that's a big help. And yeah, I've been doing a certificate, learning how to build apps, using it. I did a Gemini course as well.
Yeah.
I found that I like how Gemini, it's very quick. You can, if you program it right, you can use like different methods, how you give it a personality,
Yeah.
and things like this. You can run through scenarios. So for instance, if you're trying to start an idea, you can say, act as a consumer here. Maybe you can do a focus group on like by using it, right? So there's so many different implications of it. And yeah, I think with all the tools today, I think our listeners and everyone, they'll be able to start their ideas way more easier now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I love Google's, like, they have, like, hundreds of random apps that no one will know about, and then they'll randomly stumble upon it, and then see that it's, like, so advanced and just, like, insane. There's so much production that's been happening for the last, like, couple of years. I mean, it's already been happening. Google's obviously been, like, very productive, but like with AI, Google and a lot of these other companies have just been launching so many things. People can't even catch up. Like you yourself are like, it's not that there isn't a tool for what you need. It's that there's too many. Now you have to find out, okay, what's the best one? What's the least like, what's the easiest to start? So the courses that these companies do, like, Google Cloud, these certificates, they definitely help. They help someone that, hasn't started before to know like where they can begin. And it does give some credibility, so you can kind of feel confident in it. But those are very helpful. But I think there are even more things you can do. There's just so many things now. There's so many tools. There's so many certificates you can get. So yeah, you can really start anywhere.
Before, when you didn't know anything about something, you would take hours of research. That's what I felt like for me to do. Like if I had to learn about something, but now there's like you can ask it and you can become an expert like way more quicker right now. Do you think that is true? Like.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we wouldn't have been that's why someone building a company now. Yeah, I mean, like take these hackathons. They're taking 24 hours to start and finish a product, where hackathons, 20 years ago, were starting and finishing like an idea for a feature. So the scale of like how we're working now is just completely. It's like, okay, maybe I don't need to know the full stack. I don't need to know this certain component. I can trust like the knowledge that I'm getting here, and I don't need to spend 10 hours doing research and like doing little tests to then implement it. So it's been very good. It's also really good for trial and error. You can, if you have no clue about anything to do with a company that you want to start, like you don't know any of the technicals, you don't know anything, all you know is you want something out there with some purpose. You can try and fail, 10 different products, 10 different prototypes in a weekend. Or maybe like a whole week. And by then you'll be even smarter than you started. So it's kind of like magic. Like you can just begin and you'll figure it out. And as long as you're driven with that interest and ambition, there's nothing that's going to stop you from like actually getting that thing shipped. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's made it way more accessible. What do you think is stopping people from like pursuing ideas, even with like the AI tools now? Like, what do you think? Is there anything that you think is like stopping people, or like in their minds, like that? Is there a mindset shift that people need to make?
I mean, I'll say people are definitely, that we see less of that now, but what's stopping people? I mean, if anything's stopping someone, it's beyond. It's not about the technicals, obviously. It's not about like, I'm too like, I can't figure this out. I think it's just people thinking others are gonna find it weird that they're putting themselves behind this product. People thinking people won't like it. People thinking that oh, they matter so much, so like everyone is constantly just looking at them and what they're building. So if they make the first iteration of the product, they'll be like, that's terrible, and then like they'll like stop talking to them. Like, so it's just not gonna happen. And the reality is no one's looking at you. Everyone's working on their own thing, like whether that's a company or just like they're just living their own lives. So I'll see it's the people themselves that are stopping themselves. Like, there's nothing that's stopping you now. There's nothing physical like around you that is enough of a barrier for you to stop. There usually never was, but now it's like very apparent. Like, you can do anything you want. And if you don't, that's fully just you stopping yourself. Just because you're not confident enough, or you think people are going to make fun of you. So that's probably the thing to focus on. Like, if someone's struggling to create something, that is the emotion, I would say, that needs to be addressed. It's just like what people think of me. That just needs to be dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you think about what others are gonna think about when you try something, you won't go anywhere. You have to remove those limiting beliefs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Were there any mistakes that you made, like first when starting off Blunt?
I'll say they're really only mistakes when you're past the phase, and then you look back at it, you'd be like, okay, like I probably could have done this better. But as we work, there's really nothing wrong, like what I would categorize as a mistake, as long as you are, as long as you're putting in effort, like as much effort as possible, and you're pointed towards the goal that you set. So what you'll find, okay, there are better ways to go about something, but it's never a mistake, because there's probably nothing that you can do that you're not going to leave with some insight from. And that insight can just, live in your head, and then next year, or whatever, a year from now, you stumble upon some issue, and that thing, that insight that you picked up from a while ago can now pick up. But then in other cases, these insights that you build, they usually help you like immediately. Like, I mean, I'll say kind of like back to the trial and error. It's like the way my brother and I would handle communication and time management and our priorities. If I'm to look back at it now, I'd say, okay, yeah, that was a mistake. Maybe we should have used this instead, or maybe we should have, spoke like this many times per week or whatever. But if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be here. And if it's not for here, we're not going to be where we think we're going to be. So it's just constant iteration. I don't think anything could be a mistake at this point. It's just like, and like, what are we risking really? Like, we're not risking anything. We have nothing to lose. So yeah, we just try and fail until we succeed.
Yeah, I think you have to have that right shift. And like, failure is not just like a setback. It's just helping me move forward for whatever steps you have to go to. So is there any other tips you would give people trying to start off an idea, or like they're not sure of like what to do? They have an idea, but they don't know how to implement it properly?
Yeah, I'll first clarify that I am like in no position to be giving advice to people, because for everyone it is different, and what may have worked for me like maybe won't work for someone else. But the very like broad like sentence would be just start, and it does not matter how it ends up. If you begin and you mess up completely, you can always start again. And as like the technology a year from now is going to be much better than it is now, and it's already it feels like the best it can ever be. So that time between when you start and fail, like at some like certain like tranche of your like business, you can just keep repeating that. You have more time to try more things and fail and iterate, and that's really how you like build knowledge. So like, yeah, I guess the only advice would just be to just do it, just try, like just build the thing that you want to build. And whatever if it doesn't work in the beginning, or whatever if your cousin thinks it's weird, or like, it's just, I don't know, life is just so much more important, and it's short, like there's no time for this type of like doubting yourself, or thinking like, should I get into this, but this person will think that. It's just, that's what you will regret later on. So live with no regrets, and just do the thing that you want to do, like simple.
Just do it, Nike.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very good slogan, It just encapsulates it perfectly. Just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, branding is really important, and
Yeah.
I think you've done a good job as well. I think, that's a great mindset to have.
Thank you.
I like to pivot and ask, was there a moment you almost like gave up on an idea? Like, it doesn't have to be this, like an idea that you had in the past or things like that.
Honestly, no, I don't think so. I think every idea that I've had before, or in the middle while working on Blunt, or now, like every day, I have to see it through in some way. There's never a time where I'll pick something up and then not have some closure for it. Like, I have to finish it in some way. So sometimes a lot of the ideas I have directly connect to Blunt and to like my everyday and what I'm doing now. But early on, the ideas I would have, maybe like, because I used to like make videos or make music or whatever. If the idea is unfinished, I will start it and finish it unfinished. Like, just to put it out there, because I can't sit with the thought of like, this could be cool, and I'm stopping myself from making it because like, it's not finished yet. It's not finished yet. That's like the artist's most like prevalent issue. It's like, oh, it's not perfect yet. It's not perfect yet. Oh, like, it's never perfect. You release it and then it will be perfect. So yeah, I don't think I've like necessarily given up on any idea I've started. I usually try and see them all through.
Yeah, it's a good habit to have. I personally don't like to leave things unfinished. I think it gives just like a bad feeling, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to go about things.
Yeah.
So for the final takeaways for our audience, is there one thing that you'd give to our listeners about like what to remember when building something or starting an initiative?
Just as long as your goal is clear enough to remember it every day, and is ambitious enough where there are things you're going to have to do that may be challenging, there's nothing you can do that's going to be wrong. Every step you take is the right step. Every pivot, every like take back, every decision that you make will be the right decision, as long as you have a goal and you are consciously aware that you are pointing it towards that goal. And just effort. Like, if you know you can work harder, you should work harder. Messing up, I guess, would be just not working hard enough. But it's honestly applicable to everyone. Like, you can work on anything, and everything you do will be the right decision as long as you have a clear goal in mind.
Perfect. Well, I'd like to thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
And I hope our listeners got a lot of value here from this lesson today. And thank you very much.
All right, thank you.